Damien ruins horror movies. Welcome back to another episode of Damien Ruins Horror Movies. Your host, Damien. And first of all, see the lights behind me? I bought them at Walmart. That evil corporation, instead of ordering them online from that other evil corporation, you know, Amazon. They don't pay taxes. I kind of have this theory. I'm not trying to get like political or anything, but I feel like if I invented something that made the world better and, you know, it created jobs, it provided a lot of convenience, and then I didn't pay taxes, I feel like it's kind of a wash. Versus like me paying taxes, because I go to work every day and I'm just a spoke in the wheel, you know. It's like anybody can do my job. So yeah, I should pay taxes because I don't do an actual contribution to society. I do and I don't. I'm not doing anything innovative. I'm not creating anything. I'm not making the world a better place. I'm just simply, I'm a number. I'm a body doing a thing, and if I quit or get fired or die, it'll be a different body in there, and whether they're as good as me or not doesn't really matter. The job's still going to get done. So yeah, I pay taxes because I'm not whatever, but it seems like if you do something that's like changes the world and can change reality, you know, that's kind of a big deal. Not everybody can do that. Not everybody made Amazon, so you don't pay taxes. Everybody like demonizes this guy. Who cares? It's like he made it so that you can watch movies. He made it so you can, without leaving your house, you can order something and it shows up the next day. And you want him to help fix the roads too? Fuck you, you greedy cunt. You're the one that's the problem, not him. Jeff Bezos, is that his name? That guy, I don't know. I think corporations, there is an evil to them, but I think people are trying to make them more evil than they are. I don't know why I'm talking about this, but it's like, but I also think that like you probably have to be somewhat of an evil dickhead to get anything done. I think if you weren't that way, if you weren't that Spartan, you wouldn't have a company. So it sucks. Unfortunately, it takes a ruthless jackass to get anything done, but that's how the world works. Sorry about that rant. Throwback humor. All right, tonight we're doing Madman, 1981, directed by Joe Giannon. I don't know. And it opens up very 80s opening, but I don't know, it like starts out like kind of like just creepy, scary music, but then it starts sounding like some old, like some early 80s Tom Waits, and it's like, this is kind of catchy. I'm not, like, initially I was scared, and now, here, I'll play some. So after that, we head over to the campfire, where a good camp out movie starts, is around the campfire, where they kind of set the presence. They set the presence of the movie, and they kind of tell the rules of the movie. Friday the 13th movies have done this, and I think a lot of like camping movies do this, where they sit around the campfire and they basically lay out what's going to happen. But in this time, it's in song, because good old TP is singing this song, and it's showing scenes that not only does it foreshadow what's going to happen in the movie, but it's scenes that are going to happen in the movie, which is kind of funny, because you're watching, it's like, are they showing us the murders that are gonna happen? Because he's singing it like it already happened, but he's showing it like it's about to happen. I don't know, it's weird. It's like, do you ever watch movies like that where it's like they'll have like memory, like Rocky IV does this, I'm pretty sure. I'm positive there's this part in Rocky IV, because Rocky gets in his car after he gets in his fight with Adrian, And when she's like, you can't win, he gets in his car, and then he has that montage, that flashback montage. But there's a scene in that montage where because he's remembering shit, but there's a scene there where he remembers something that hasn't happened yet. Like, there's a clip of him fighting Drago in his memory montage, where it's like, well, you just remember something that hasn't happened yet. That's weird. In this one, it's foreshadowing. The whole point of that song is to show what's going to happen in the movie. So it's not the same thing at all. And so he finishes his song, and then Max is the old guy. This is a weird group because it's like counselors and kids, but there's no particular age group, because the older kids camping are like the age that normally camp counselors are. So it's kind of weird. It's like, why are they counselors or are they kids? Oh, they're kids camping. It's like, they're counselor age. Why? What are they doing? Camping. The camp out vibe is supposed to be like kids and teenagers and kind of like a mentoring type thing where, you know, camping is supposed to keep kids out of trouble. Where it's like, oh, you're 16. What are you going to do all summer? You're going to hang out and get into trouble with your friends? No, you should go to this camp. You can be a counselor and you have a responsibility. It's kind of like having a job. It's like a job that doesn't pay you. I don't think counselors actually get paid. But it's that setup. It's like there's a group of like 4 11-year-olds and then like a group of like 3 16-year-olds. And the counselors, because one of the counselors, Betsy, TP's girlfriend, the singer, she's played by Galen Ross. She played Francine in Dawn of the Dead. She's also in Creepshow. She was having an affair on Leslie Nielsen with Ted Danson, which ended up with her getting buried up to her neck in sand until the tide came and took her away. Fun fact, because she's 30 years old in this movie, playing a camp counselor. It's like to her credit, she looks younger in this movie than she does in Dawn of the Dead. But still, like, it's weird that especially because as the movie goes on, these counselors who were, I don't know what age they're supposed to be, but I know that the average age of the actors is like 30, but they're doing teenage shit. So it's like, who wrote this movie? Max is the, like, old guy, where he's not a counselor, he's more like the guy that runs the whole thing, because typically you have a guy who, like, runs the whole camp, and then he has teenagers as counselors, and then they have kids. That's the hierarchy of summer camp. He tells the story of the angry farmer. He came home one night with an axe, and he killed his wife. And then he went full on Jim Morrison. He took a walk down the hallway, and he came to a door. And then he killed his son, and he killed his kids. And then he went to the bar, put his axe on the counter, still dripping with blood, and he ordered a beer. But a lot of the locals that were in there saw the bloody axe. They did the math. They're like, this guy just killed his whole family, which is kind of weird. Like, why would you come up with that assessment? It's in the woods. It's blood. I mean, like, why would you assume this guy just has the balls to, like, kill his family and bring the bloody axe to the... Because the story doesn't say that he went in there and started bragging about it. He just went in silently, put his axe on the counter, ordered a beer, and then everybody around him was like, oh, this guy's a murderer. We should kill him. So they drag him outside. They drag him to a nearby tree, and they hang him. Because apparently in that area, people have lots of rope ready at all times for evil doers that they can just hang them from a tree. And apparently these guys, because it was like 10 guys, these guys are so good at it, they don't even stick around for the result. They just strung him up there, let him hang, and I guess went back in the bar and kept drinking because he didn't die. Somehow he escaped. The next day his body was gone. Here's a tip. If you're going to hang somebody, stick around and make sure they die. I'm going to edit that out. He lived in a nearby house from where the campfire was, where they're telling the story. So it sounds like a bullshit made up story that people tell around a campfire to scare the kids. And it worked. I knew I got kind of a like summer camp vibe going for this summer, but this takes place a week before Thanksgiving, which is weird. Who camps? Especially, it's one thing if you want to go out in the woods and you camp personally, like you and your girlfriend or wife, or you take your kids out there, but who has a summer camp in, like, you know, the last week of November? Like, where are there trees and warmth in November? It's like, I can see, like, I live in Hawaii, so I can sleep outside whenever I want. That's fine. But there's not a lot of forest there, I don't think. I don't know. So that was a weird, I don't know why. I don't know why this movie takes place the week before Thanksgiving. Shouldn't the kids be in school? Say, fuck school. We're going to November camp. There's no November camp. It's fucking weird. So Max mentions that you don't want to mention the murderer's name above a whisper, because if you do, then he'll come for you. And then, I don't know if Max believes his story or not, because he's like, don't do it. But up until now, he hasn't told the name of the murderer. So I was like, well, if you don't want people to do that, and you believe that this story is real, how about you just don't fucking say what the person's name is, and then everybody's safe. But instead, Max is like, and his name is Madman Marz. So immediately, one of the kids, Richie, who looks like he could be the same age as the counselors, just starts yelling, Madman Marz! Madman Marz! Madman Marz! And Max doesn't, like, freak out about it. He's like, what the fuck are you doing? He's just like, oh, I just told you not to do that. Oh, well. And then Richie throws a rock. And I don't know if, like, Richie used to play center field for a professional baseball team. He throws the rock and it hits the dilapidated house. The house in question that Madman Marz lives in. So I was like, how close are you guys to this fucking house? That Richie can just be like, well, it wasn't like he was standing when he threw it. It's like, how did he just get, were you a catcher in a former life? Like, who can just throw a rock and hit a house? So after campfire, they round up the kids, which is weird. Because seriously, it is like, there's like 3 teenage boys. Those are the kids camping. And then there's like 3 girls who look like they're maybe 11 to 12 years old. Because the bulk of the people here, there's only like 8 main, well, counting Richie. There's definitely less kids than adults. Because there's like 6 kids. There's like 3 boys, 3 girls. The girls look like they're about to enter middle school, and the boys look like they're halfway through high school. So it's a strange dynamic. After they wrap up the campfire, they head back. But Richie is in line, because they're like in a single file line. He's going, TP is leading him back to the camp, or to the cabins. And he looks up and he sees a figure in the trees. And he's just kind of like kind of transfixed by it, but at the same time, like, oh, but he doesn't say anything about it. He's just like, oh, and then he like wanders off. And so TP and the other 2 kids make it to the cabin. TP doesn't notice. It's like, how do you were leading 3 kids, and you get back there, you have 2 kids, and you don't notice. It's not like a third of your party is gone. It's like, he doesn't do any kind of head count whatsoever. You had 3, and now you have 2, and it just, you didn't know. But at the same time, all right, I don't know how old TP is supposed to be, but TP is hooking up with Betsy, so I think he was probably thinking, like, I want to get rid of these fucking kids, because I'm going to go fuck Betsy, because this is the last night of camp, and he doesn't know if him and Betsy are going to be an ongoing thing, or after camp, they're done, so he's trying to get laid as long as possible, so, alright, it doesn't seem as crazy that he would lose a kid. Even though he only had to watch 3. But Richie bails and he heads over to the dilapidated house. And he snoops around in there. And we get this vibe like something's going to happen, but nothing really happens. Meanwhile, after TP drops off his kids, there's a stump with an axe sticking out of it, and Max is there. Because Max is getting ready to leave. He's leaving for the night. He's like, I'm going to go into town, and there's a bar, and I'm going to get drunk. So and everybody else is on board. They're like, all right, Max, you should do that. But there's a stump with an axe in it, with a little more foreshadowing. Because we've already had the foreshadowing of Madman Marz killed his family with an axe. And now we got a tree stump with an axe in it. And it's stuck in there. Sword in the stone style. Max tells TP, hey, if you can pull that axe out of that stump, I will give you $100. And TP's like, no problem. And he tries to pull it, but it doesn't budge. But then TP's like, I guess he's kind of competitive. He's like, well, why won't it budge? And he's just kind of stubborn. He's like, well, help me. So the two of them are trying it. And then the town drunk. This is it's weird because I don't understand fully where they're camping. Because it's kind of like the cabins don't look like cabins. I mean, it kind of looks like they're just in this weird town. They have a town drunk, Dippy, who's like almost done with his bottle of Jim Beam or Jack or whatever it was. He's got a little bit left. Actually, at one point he finally finished it and he was still like just holding the empty bottles. They're like, we'll have Dippy help us. So the three of them are trying to pull the axe out. It won't budge. And they give up. And you're right there, it's like, oh, you're foreshadowing. Like somehow, that's somehow supposed to be the axe that belonged to Madman. Because didn't Madman take his axe to the bar and set it on the counter? So it should, like, technically it should still be in that bar on the fucking counter. It's not like he went there, had some beer. It's like he supposedly died that night. So I don't know why. It was obviously, okay, it's impossible to take this axe out of the tree stump. I know he's going to walk up later and pull it out like nothing. I'm not sure how Betsy feels about TP, but she must feel okay about him. I don't know. I don't know if he's like a fling. I don't know. It doesn't seem like she's feeling too long term, but at the same time, she's like, hey, it's November camp. What happens in November camp stays in November camp. TP goes and like gets her, and they go to the hot tub and they get naked. I mean, this is kind of the, Max is gone while the cat's away. The mice will play, or at least a couple of the mice will. They go in there and they like get it on. This is our nude scene where there's not any actual nudity. There's like a flash of boob. You got to have a strong pause button game to capture that like almost nipple. But other than that, they're in there for a while. But there's a POV watching them the whole time. And it's Madman, who, for some reason, Madman Marz, I think this is the first time we see him. See him, kind of well. See his feet and stuff. But, Madman Marz looks like he's turning into Bigfoot. His feet, he's got long, he's barefooted for some reason. He kind of looks like a sibling of the killer from Don't Go in the Woods. But he's just, hairy, and he's got toe, I don't know, it's is he, part Bigfoot? But at the same time, he had to be normal at one time because he was married and he had kids. And if you're half Bigfoot, I don't think there's a lot of people running out of their way to hook up with you. I don't know, it's kind of racist, but I think people would be a little put off by you. They'd be like, you're a little hairier than you should be. You got claw toes. So Richie gets out of the house and he's lost. Which is crazy because Richie's not that far away. I kind of feel like if you can, from the campfire, if you can throw a rock and hit the house that you break into later, getting lost is not an option. You're 20 feet away. You're 30. You're 50 feet away. How do you not find your way back to where you started out from? Especially because this is the last day of the camp. You have to have a certain amount of bearing. If it was the first night, I could see getting lost in the woods. But it's I don't know how long they've been there, but you have to have a grasp of where you are, especially when you're not very far away. I mean, you should be able to smell the fucking campfire from the dilapidated house. Although they did say that there is a bad smell that comes around when Madman's around. But Madman's not even around Richie. Even though Richie called his name, Madman goes and kills Dippy, the town drunk, and then he's lurking around. So he's over in the cabin, in the city. Because I swear, cabin area of this movie does have this vibe where it feels like they're in a small town. It does not feel like they're in the woods camping. So then we switch over to inside one of the cabins in front of a fireplace. Inside it's a little couples retreat where Stacy, Tommy, Ellie, and Bill and Dave are like laying around. And it doesn't show them smoke weed, but I'm pretty sure these guys are smoking weed. Because like, I don't know anybody who like sober just lays in front of a campfire. And the way they're laying, they're like head to head, like my feet are pointed at this wall. This person's feet are pointed at this wall and our heads are together. And the four of them, or the five, it's actually four of them. Dave's there for some reason, even though Dave is not involved with any of these girls. I think Dave's kind of like the dude you don't want to get high with. Because he just cranks it up to another level where somebody will say something and then he just gets a little too deep, a little too fast, and you're just like, whoa. But then, he pulled out a knife, like he was gonna cut somebody, and everybody's like, what the fuck is going on with Dave? But then it turns out he was doing that so he could have his scare, and you're just like, ha ha ha, good one, Dave. We're never smoking weed with Dave again. Dave's fucked up. So back to TP and Betsy, after they get done screwing or whatever that PG-13 performance was, they separate because, and this is a weird part, maybe I need to rewatch the movie, because like somehow he's like, I'm gonna go look for Richie. And I don't remember if he went back and somebody told him that Richie was gone, or if he's known it the whole time. He's been like, I know Richie's gone, I should look for him, but I just want to get laid. What's a brother to do? So he's like, well, I got laid. I'm not getting laid. No, I should probably take on my camp responsibilities and go find Richie. You know, the kid that I'm responsible for. He says goodbye to Betsy, and he's getting ready to go look for her, and she's like, goodbye too. And as he turns, though, she looks, and she sees Madman Marz. And it's like, I'm not going to say anything. And so I don't understand, like, does Madman Marz have this weird thing that once you see him, you're kind of hypnotized and you just can't believe that you're seeing something, so it just gets nullified in your brain like it didn't happen? Like, why wouldn't you be like, hey, you're going to look for him? Holy shit, I just saw, remember in the opening of the movie, the killer that you were singing about and then Max was talking about? I just fucking saw that dude. Maybe don't go in the woods. Instead, she's like, all right, hurry back. But then at the same time, she's kind of on the fence about it anyway. It wasn't necessarily going to be a long-term relationship anyway. So, you know, maybe she's kind of like, ooh, now instead of breaking his heart, he can just go out there and get killed. And I'm off the hook. And which is what happens. He goes out there. He gets hanged from a tree by the madman. And he dies. And about 45 minutes later, she goes back to the cabin where the others are enjoying the fire and says, hey, TP went looking for Richie about 45 minutes ago and he hasn't returned yet. Can one of you men do something? So Dave's like, I'll go look for him. So Dave goes in the woods and he tries to find TP, and he finds his flashlight. Then he finds TP's body, but then Madman finds him and cuts his head off. Now Dave's dead, and now two are missing. So Dave's been gone for a while, and Stacy is worried, so she barges in on good old Ellie and Bill, who are trying to get it on in their tent. It's a very weird campground, because there's like cabins, there's rooms, there's offices, there's tents, there's this, but the whole thing happens at nighttime. It's all the same night, so it's kind of, you don't get a feel for the layout. There's a dilapidated house like right over there. There's a tent, who knows where. But somehow everything's far enough apart where you can't hear shit when things go bad. But she barges in on their tent. You know how when you barge in on a tent, it's like this. Hey guys. And she's like, hey, what are you guys doing? And they're like, hey, we're trying to get it on. And they're like, oh, okay, well, I need you to look for Dave. Dave is missing. And I'm worried about him. But no rush. You guys can go ahead and, continue the fuck session. Go ahead and climax. But when you're done, I need you to look for Dave because I'm super worried about him. And they're kind of like, oh, that's terrible. Okay, we'll let you know. And then she's like, zips the tent back up and goes back to what she was doing. She's like, all right, mission accomplished. Dave's taken care. Dave is in good hands now because once these fuckers get done fucking, they're going to fucking find him. And she goes to the truck, but the truck won't start. And I don't know where she's planning to drive because everything seems like it's in arm's reach. Is she just going to bail? Like, if she was smart, I mean, it's a dick move, but yeah, get in the truck and get the fuck out of there. But she has no proof that anybody's dead. There's no proof that anything has happened. So I'm not sure why she started the truck. But there's a POV watching her. You know what the POV is. It's Madman Marz is watching her. Once Ellie and Bill are done doing the deed, they look for Stacy. But right now, Stacy is out looking for Dave. And the woods is kind of turning into like a roach motel where it's like, you know, there's some kind of bait and like people just keep falling in. It's like, I'm going to go over here. Oh no, now I'm fucked. The next person's like, oh, what's this? Oh, and that's what the woods is. Like, I'm looking for this person. I'm going to go over here. Oh shit, now I'm dead. Stacy finds Dave's headless body. And she's like, okay, now I know shit is fucking real. She hadn't got the truck working yet. But now she's like, okay, shit. Worst case scenario has just happened. Dave's fucking dead. Here's his corpse. I'm fucking out of here. I'm going back to the truck. And at this point, I think she's kind of like, fuck everybody else. You guys are doing whatever. I'm going to get the fuck out of here because something weird's going on. And she goes back to the truck. She tries to get it working. And she's got the hood popped and she's like doing, you know, I don't know. She's going to just somehow figure out what's wrong with the engine. And at that moment, Madman Marz jumps down from a tree onto the hood, and the hood decapitates her, which I have no idea how much Madman is supposed to weigh. He doesn't look like a giant. He's not the Incredible Hulk, but somehow him jumping, I don't know how high he was. Was he at the top of the tree that was like the same height as the Statue of Liberty? Like, how do he jumped down, lands on the hood, which lands on her neck, decapitates her, cuts her head clean off, hood closes completely. Like, how? That's not how that would happen. I mean, you could kill somebody that way, but I don't think you can decapitate somebody with the hood of a car. I mean, I think you could, if you're patient, like on a long enough timeline, you probably could. But the way he did it, I don't think that's possible. I'm calling bullshit. Sorry, Madman. I know you're a badass, but that is not. That is, you know, science will argue that you can't do that. Ellie and Bill go to the truck that won't start. They don't notice the big. I mean, it's a yellow truck. There's a big like bloody stripe on it. They don't notice that. They get in, it won't start, and so Bill pops the hood to try and figure out what's wrong with it, and he finds Stacy's head. He's like, oh shit, and he like kind of just tosses her head out, and now the truck starts just fine, which is really weird because Stacy got her head chopped off trying to fix the car that wouldn't start. It was like, if her head was keeping it from starting, then it should have started when she tried to start it. But now her head is, I don't know, it's like, huh? They start driving away, but Madman is on the fucking truck and the window is open and he like grabs Bill by the face and pulls him out. And then the truck like kind of veers off the road and hits a tree. And the passenger side door for some reason just magically opens and like Ellie falls out. Like, first of all, yeah, wear a seatbelt. But second of all, why did that door just open? It just rolled out. She's just like, oh. And she gets up and she sees Bill get killed, which is weird because he didn't die. I don't know, it's not weird. She gets up and she watches Bill get finished off by Madman Marz. Next we get to Richie, who's been walking for a while in a very small radius. And in some Blair Witch shit, he ends up back at the dilapidated house. It's like, how have you walked that long to get to a place that was like 3 minutes away from where you started from in the first place. So naturally, he goes back inside. Ellie manages to make it back to the office cabin thing where Betsy is. Only now Betsy's not there. So she gets into, but Madman is hot on her trail. So she hides in a refrigerator, which is kind of weird. Strange choice in terms of hiding places go. And she thinks, once she thinks that she can hear that he's in there looking for her, and then once she's gone, she's like, all right, cool, it's safe. And she gets an axe to the chest. And bye, Ellie. Betsy's out snooping around, and she looks in the cabin and sees a dead body. So she's like, all right, I'm not taking any chances. I'm going to call Max. Now, I don't fully understand, because this was 1981. We didn't have cell phones back then. So she's calling Max, who's gone. I mean, apparently everybody knows that Max is going to the bar. Apparently he goes to that bar all the time because she has the bar's phone number, and she called and she's like, hey, is Max there? Because Max goes, I don't know, it's even weirder than that, because it wasn't like she called the bar and they're like, oh, hold on. Hey, Max, you got a phone call. She called the bar, like, payphone. And Max answered it. He's like, hello? Hey, it's me, Betsy. Oh, what's going on? I was like, you need to come down here. Pronto. There's some shit. There's blood. I don't know what's going on, but I need you to get down here. And he's like, okay, I'm on my way. Call me a bitch, but if I get that phone call, my reaction would be like, that sounds like a YP. Your problem. You tell me to come down where there's a bunch of blood and shit? Nope. See ya. I'm going to stay here at the bar. Luckily, Max is more of a man than I am, and he drunk drives his way back to the camp. She gets a shotgun and she loads it with a pocket full of shells and makes her way over to, she gets to the dilapidated house where Richie was. And she wanders around inside it until finally meeting face to face the Madman. And the shotgun does her no good because she's kind of surprised, and he's just like, bitch, swats it away. And thought she was going to be the final girl. Madman kills her. Like, fairly easily. This movie is a slasher. Doesn't really follow the slasher rules, which is fine. It was kind of interesting. It doesn't really set up a sequel, but the Madman doesn't get killed either. But Richie comes out. So drunk Max makes his way all the way back there, and instead of getting to the camp, he gets to Richie before he gets to the camp or the dilapidated house. And Richie is like shell-shocked. Like, seeing a ghost. He's like, oh, he's real. He's real. I can't believe he's real. He's real. He's real. It really happened. He's real. And then the movie just kind of ends right there. The end. Good night, Jeff. The Gilligan Award goes to Richie, because as soon as he heard what not to do, he did what he was told not to do. He said the name, not once, not twice, 3 times, my lady. And then he went to the house. And then, like, none of those are bad in and of themselves, but then everybody started dying as soon as they started looking for Richie. A good twist on this movie would have been if it turned out that, like, Richie was a relative of the Madman, if he was like the son that got away, and so now he's all fucked up and he's killing people that come back there. Or if somehow he was killing people that were looking for him. Instead, Richie's like pretty much the only one that lives through the whole thing, but he started the whole thing. Asshole. What did we learn? Survival tips. Don't say Bloody Mary 3 times. You know what I mean. Don't go into the woods alone at night. Don't hide in an old refrigerator, but if you do, don't audibly empty it before climbing in. Not to mention the mess you made around it. If you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe. And better yet, go to my Facebook page. It's called Damien Ruins Horror Movies. And go ahead and hit a like on there and scroll through. There's weird algorithms, so even if you already like it, you're probably not seeing half the stuff that I post on there. So feel free to scroll from time to time on there because you're probably missing out on a lot.